Have you ever met someone who had nothing, but still gave everything they had? This is the story of a poor farmer whose heart was richer than any king's treasure. In a small village in Bangladesh, surrounded by green fields and muddy roads, lived a farmer named Rahim. Rahim was poor, not just a little poor. He owned a small piece of land, one old cow, and a broken hut made of bamboo and tin. Every morning before the sun even touched the sky, Rahim would walk barefoot to his field. He would dig the hard soil, plant seeds, and pray for rain. His hands were rough, his clothes were torn, but his heart was full of hope. People often laughed at him. They said, "Rahim, why do you keep working so hard? You'll never be rich." Rahim would just smile and say, "Maybe not rich in money, brother, but I want to be rich in peace." His wife, Salma, also believed in him. Together they dreamed that one day their son Rafiq would go to school, wear clean clothes, and live a better life. But life, as always, had other plans. One year the rain didn't come. The sun burned the fields, the crops died. Rahim's cow got sick. And slowly, his savings, the few coins he kept in an old clay pot, began to disappear. At night, Salma cried silently, thinking Rahim didn't notice. But he did. He saw her tears. He felt her fear. One evening, Rahim sat outside his hut, looking at the dark sky. He whispered, "Ya Allah, I've worked all my life. Why does it still feel like I have nothing?" The next morning he decided to sell his cow, his only valuable thing, to buy food and pay for Rafiq's school. He walked miles to the market under the burning sun. His feet were bleeding, but his heart was heavy for another reason. At the market, he found a trader willing to buy the cow for a fair price. Rahim's eyes filled with tears as he said goodbye to the animal that had worked beside him for years. He took the money and began walking home. On his way back, he saw something strange. A small crowd had gathered beside the road. A little boy was crying loudly. Rahim went closer and asked, "What happened?" Someone replied, "That boy's father was taking him to the hospital, but they met with an accident. The father is hurt badly and they have no money for help." Rahim looked at the man, lying on the ground, bleeding, struggling to breathe. The boy held his father's hand and kept saying, "Baba, please wake up." Rahim felt something deep inside him. He knew what it was like to be helpless, to watch someone you love suffer. He looked at the money in his hand, the money that could feed his family, the money that could send his son to school. His heart began to race. His mind said, "Walk away. You can't afford this." But his heart whispered, "What if that was Rafiq?" Without thinking anymore, Rahim handed over all the money to the boy. He said, "Take your father to the hospital, go fast." The boy looked at him in shock. "Uncle, how will I ever repay you?" Rahim smiled softly and said, "Just grow up and help someone else one day." And then he walked home, empty-handed. That night, Rahim had no food. He sat quietly as Salma cried again. She didn't blame him, but her eyes asked, "Why?" Rahim simply said, "Maybe we lost money today, but we didn't lose our humanity." Days passed. Rahim went back to his field, working again with his bare hands. Life was hard, but his heart stayed peaceful. Then one morning a jeep stopped near his house. Out came a man, well-dressed, smiling. It was the same man Rahim had helped weeks ago. He hugged Rahim and said, "Brother, because of you I survived. You saved my life. I promised myself I'd find you again." He handed Rahim an envelope. Inside were some papers and a letter. The man continued, "I own a large piece of land nearby. I want you to manage it. From now on, you'll get a fair salary and a new home for your family." Rahim stood there speechless. Tears rolled down his face. All he could say was Alhamdulillah. From that day on, Rahim's life changed. He worked harder than ever, not for money, but with gratitude. His son Rafiq went to school, his wife smiled again, and Rahim never forgot that moment on the road. He often told the village kids, kindness never leaves you empty. It always finds a way back, and maybe not today, but someday. And whenever people asked how he became successful, Rahim would laugh and say, "I just helped someone when I had nothing. Maybe that's when Allah decided to help me." So my friend, remember this. Life may take away your comfort, but never give away your kindness. Even the smallest act of good can return to you in the biggest way. Because sometimes being rich has nothing to do with money. It's about having a heart that still chooses to give, even when it's empty.